Hello friends, Jai Shri Ram. This is a comparison video between Kanguva and Gladiator 2. Many people are beating down Kanguva. They're saying that Kanguva is not so good, technically not made well, direction is not good. People are saying a lot of bad things about Kanguva. At the same time, few people are saying good things about Gladiator, few are saying bad things. But mostly Gladiator 2 has received a good feedback from the critics. I will like to put my 2 cents into the discussion, and I like to bring the discussion back to the fact that Gladiator 2's budget was enormous, and as compared to that, Kangua's budget was very minuscule as compared to Gladiator 2. I'll tell you the budgets. Kangua's budget was 300 crore Indian rupees, and Gladiator 2's budget was 210 million US dollars, which converts to 1,77,403 Indian rupees. 300 crore Indian rupees and 1,77,000 crore Indian rupees. There's a huge difference, right? And in spite of this, if you compare them one by one, I feel Kanguva has done a much better job given its budget. So let me put my argument ahead. I'll put my argument ahead based on these factors. One is how is the world building. Number two, how are the sets, focus of the story, music, action, all these things. Okay, so these 5 things I'll consider while giving my arguments. So I feel, let's take the first argument. It is world building. World building, within 300 crores, Kanguva built so much in the world building. You just check 5 distinct islands. All of them had distinct properties. Okay, one was very cold, another was fiery, full of skeletons where bloodshed is happening, and so on and so forth. So all these 5 islands had to be created. Point number one. Point number two, ships. There are certain scenes which are shot only on the ships. Of course, they cut the corners over there. They never docked these ships. Okay, so all these ships could be completely CGI made. It's okay. They try to save their money there. Then the modern world of course had to be built, the lab had to be built, and all those things had to be built, right? So these are the 3 worlds that had to be built by Kanguva within 300 crore rupees, and within 1,77,000 crore Indian rupees, Gladiator 2 had to build these worlds. First is Numidia, which is the North African country from which Paul Mescal belongs originally, and it is invaded by the Romans. So that Numidia had to be built. Then afterlife kind of a world had to be created where his wife dies, and then there is the afterlife kind of a world that had to be created. Well, that was not a different world also, that was simply CGI, nothing different. But still, I'll give it the credit because just like I said, ship in Kanguva was built. Here I'll say, okay, afterlife world also you built. Okay, but both of them were CGI, so no problem there. Then the Colosseum, a lot of scenes happened in the Colosseum that had to be built. Of course, in the same Colosseum, there was a water fight also, very nicely done. So for that, world building had to happen. And thirdly, basic Rome, means whenever the noblemen had to be shown in Rome, then that Rome had to be built somehow. These few worlds had to be built. So I feel Kanguva also built almost equal or more number of worlds as compared to Gladiator 2. Besides, Gladiator 2's worlds were all fake, they were completely sets, and that is why they required more amount of money. In our case, Kanguva was shot in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. It is naturally beautiful. It naturally has these things. So we just had to go out in the wild, in the wilderness, and just shoot it. As simple as that. That's why it was done in just 300 crore rupees. So that was my argument number one. I think in world building, we did a fantastic job at a very less budget. Second thing is the sets. Uh, Sets means all the makeup and all those artists and that kind of. So tribes, ships and land. That had to be created by Kanguva, and Gladiator had to work upon the ship again. Their ships had to be docked also. Colosseum, so they had to build at least part of that ship on their own. Very good. That's why the money is more. The fort of Numidia, which got invaded. Yeah, of course they had to build that fort. Then the afterlife world in the CGI. Okay. Now, argument number two is how is the focus of the story. So I think Kangua focuses more on human sentiments, like the relations within the family, like father son bond, father mother bond, that kind of a bond that is stressed upon in Kangua. Whereas in Gladiator 2, the stress is not upon intimate one to one bond. The stress is upon politics and how Rome was ruled, how badly it was ruled, and how much it needed democracy. So that was the whole focus. So the focus was more civil and less personal. Okay, so that is the difference. So I personally feel that direction has more scope when you go for a personal story as compared to for a political story, because in politics you have to be politically right all the time, and then you cannot really of course in personal stories also you have to move morally right, but personal stories still have a wider spectrum of emotions that can be shown. And I think that's why the choice of focus of story of Kangua is a little better than that of Gladiator. I'll also say music. Music of Kangua, of course, they cut the corners there as well. They have only one background score and they used it over and over and over again. And that's why many critics said that the movie seems to be very loud because they did not have any other background score. They had to run the same background score, which seems to be good only at high volume. So they had to play it over and over again at high volume. Whereas in Gladiator's case, the soundtrack consisted of multiple soundtracks. I mean, the background music, background score had multiple soundtracks, and all of them catered to different emotions. So I think kudos go to Gladiator 2 in that case. The background score is good for Kangua, but it's a single background score. They should have had multiple setback. They have multiple background scores also, but the other background scores they hardly register to you. I don't even remember how was their mild background score. I don't even remember it. But in Gladiator's case, I do have a fading memory, a little memory about how the background score was when it was very emotional and there was sacrifice at that time, how it was. So I have a little idea. Or whenever there is strategy making, then how was the background score? And of course, during the action, how was the background score? Okay, so kudos go to Gladiator 2 as regards background score. Now coming to the action, again the action in Kangua was different. The genre itself is different than that in Gladiator 2. In Kangua, the action genre is fantasy action. It was a fantasy movie. It was not a real movie. Whereas in Gladiator 2, it was historic action. So whenever there is fantasy action, you can put in more good ideas because you are not tied by the reality. Okay, so as far as your imagination can go, you can put those ideas in fantasy action. For example, even Bahubali was a fantasy action film. Okay, so they did not show historically correct things, but then they could show let us say six humans holding shields. They were catapulted and they would hold a formation during the flight and they would fall down and then again another formation. How is it even possible? I mean, it's absolutely fake. It's absolutely, their imagination went to that level and that imagination was praised a lot. So in fantasy action, there's a lot of scope for imagination to play its role. Whereas in Gladiator, it was historic. So they could not do much of an innovation kind of a thing. Even Colosseum, okay, they have imagined a lot of things over there, like Colosseum could be filled with water. Okay, that was imaginary. But there's only so much as you can do in historical movies. They still used a lot of imagination. Few ideas were amazing, like that water fight in the Colosseum where two ships are there, and the idea that Paul deploys of cutting the those rowing sticks of another ship. That was amazing. I liked it. Good use of ideas, I would say, but then they were limited, and that's why you will see that Kanguva seems to be more intelligently made, or the action seems to be more intelligent, or the ideas, there are more ideas over there. The reason is because it is fantasy action. Now, what are the good ideas in Kanguva? So first of all, that radio thing, I liked it a lot. There were three bones, and that bone flute could be used to transmit signals, and that idea I really liked a lot. Then the other idea of eagle, using eagle as a messenger, and then there were three arrows of three different tribes in the chest of hero's father, and the hero's father pulls all of them out, puts them in his maybe his belt, and ties it, and then gives it to the eagle. So the eagle passes on the message to the hero, and then hero comes to know that my father is attacked. These are the arrows which attacked my father, because father's belt is with it, and of course his blood is also there on the arrows. That means he was attacked. And which are the three tribes who are the enemy tribes? So those arrows are also shown. So I think that was a fantastic idea. Good use of brain. Nicely done by the director and the action choreographer as well. Then using the trees to pull the limbs apart of the villain's son, that was also fantastic. I like the idea. They used physics to pull the limbs apart of the villain who attacked them. Nicely done. Then that villain who did not have limbs, no hands, no legs, that body had to be passed on to the villain, right? So to his father, and while it was passed on, it was in kind of a ICU, that is intensive care unit, some glass box, just like glass box. Now it had a box made up of twigs. So that was also a good amount of imagination, well done, I would say. uh, and then using the GPS tracker in the modern world, using that locket uh, as a GPS tracker, and getting the location of that of his son, the hero's son. That was also a fabulous thing. I liked it. So all these are good ideas in Kagua. Similarly, there were a few good ideas in Gladiator. Lesser good ideas, by the way, because I told you it's a historical action movie, so lesser ideas. But still, a few ideas would be like cutting the oars of the boat. So that those pedals of the boat are called as oar, OARS. So those oars were cut very intelligently, nicely done. So what happens is, uh, this is friendly ship on which hero is there, and this is a villain's ship, and both the ships have to be rowed. Okay, so what the hero does is he rams his ship like this while their oars are out, so their oars break from one side, so they are not able to, now the villains are not able to navigate their ship, and this is how he makes them a sitting duck, and then they attack upon them. So that was a fantastic idea. I loved it. Another fantastic idea was when in a Colosseum where the hero is there and a few more people, these slaves, they were attacked by a rhinosaur and a person on top of that rhinosaur. So what hero does is hero just creates a dust cloud, and then the rhino rams him, and the rhino doesn't realize, but it rams right into the wall of the Colosseum. So it breaks its horn, and then that rhino cannot do much, and then the rider of the rhino had to come down to fight with these slaves, and then of course hero takes him down. So that was a fantastic idea as well. So I like both these ideas. uh, Other than that, I don't think there were any good ideas. At least weapons wise, I did not like it. Now if you say that the way this way the villain assassinates those two rulers, puts a pin across the ear and all. I don't think that is very innovative, but still, I mean, okay. I mean, we knew it. We have seen it in so many movies. Because the easiest point in the skull where some foreign body can enter is the ear. So oftentimes people put a pencil through the ear or put something through the ear to kill somebody. So that's a very easy way of assassinating somebody. Or through the eyes. So the eye holes and the ears, these are the only, or maybe through the neck like this. So we have seen so many movies through which in which people use these vulnerabilities of human body to assassinate people. So I don't think that is very innovative. That was just a little gruesome thing, but still okay. I mean, politics was very nicely shown in Gladiator. Politics was shown nicely in Kanguva as well. I think Kanguva and Gladiator are equal where politics stands, because in both the cases politics was shown nicely, but Gladiator becomes a little too serious and a little too gloomy. So it is a little heartbreaking kind of a show of history. I didn't like it so much. Means you go to a movie to feel happy, right? But Gladiator is a kind of movie. After seeing it, you don't feel happy. You feel how bad humans were. I mean, just a couple of centuries ago, not very. This is time is not very old, and we were such horrible people. Uh, so yeah, it is not very good. But against that, if you see Kangua, then Kangua, yeah, I felt amazing about Kangua. I felt good about all the tribes as well, especially the hero tribes, which is famous for not knowing what is fear. Amazing, I liked it. So you feel positive after seeing Kangua, whereas you feel a little negative or left out, or you feel gloomy after seeing Gladiator 2. So that was my entire review. These were my arguments. I feel we did a far better job than Gladiator did. But I know my review is in stark contrast with most other cinephiles who have given their reviews. People did not like Kangua at all, and people liked Gladiator so. I mean, some people like, some people did not like, or some people, or everyone had mixed opinion about Gladiator 2 as far as I could see. And I feel that is a little wrong. We should also look at the budget. Kangua was done in 300 crore rupees, and Gladiator 2 was done in 1,77,403 crore Indian rupees. So there's a huge difference. If you take everything into account, I feel Kangua has done fantastic job. Fantastic job. Of course, in my previous review of Gladiator, I have said that Hollywood is Hollywood. We cannot catch it. Yeah, we cannot catch it because it has so much of budget. If you start pouring in so much of budget, then there is no scope for error. You will have an entire department for costumes alone, an entire department for music alone, an entire department for story writing and historical fact finding and all alone. So of course it will be historically correct, of course it will be spot on each and everything. But then I think it takes talent to make the same amount of same good amount of movie in so much less of a budget. So I feel Kangua did a fantastic job. I liked Kangua more as compared to Gladiator 2. I know many of you must be having different opinion. If you have any different opinions, please let me know in the comment section. And until next time, this is Amit signing off. Jai Shri Ram.